Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement, as well as the National Executive Committee, that is NEC. There are also goings on within the political space. The death of a NUP cadre whose demise has appeared to take on dimensions beyond just death or political affiliation. We'll be asking those who cover the stories in depth for their perspective. And I'm joined on set by Derek Wandera, reporter with the Nation Media Group, particularly the Daily Monitor newspaper. Many thanks for making time. How are we doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks
Great.
for having me, and it's always a pleasure being here.
No doubt. Today, as I started the show, I dwelled so much on the truth that is embedded in the papers today. That is, of course, Truth Every Day, being the Daily Monitor. And there are so many talking points, including the UG visas for US villains. We also saw something about plans to construct, apparently, VIP cells for some Ugandans. The average Chris Higeji doesn't apparently, qualify. Interesting there. You'll be giving us your perspective of that. But there is something that has been of particular concern in the press. The death of Marinos Alexandros, the NUP cadre, whose own ordeal with the security forces was something that occasioned so much injury to her that it completely altered her life, and within a space of is it 2 or 3 years?
3, yeah.
She has gone to be with the Lord. I know there are many supporters of the National Unity Platform who may be undergoing a torture as they are incarcerated, if reports that we've seen covered by the Daily Monitor and indeed other media sources are anything to go by. But I just want you to give us the overview, especially in light of these ladies' demise and circumstances leading to that.
Thank you, Chris. I interviewed Marinos Alexandria in 2022 in her small room in Imbuya, and of course there were quite a number of journalists who visited her. And she was always happy to strip, to show the kind of torture marks that she had sustained in what she called security custody in Imbuya's CMI, then Chieftaincy for Military Intelligence. She speaks of so many things, heinous things that happened to her, including rape.
Raped by the operatives.
Yes, and some of the tormentors came out. Like she brought them out. She mentions 2 names. But shortly after we ran that story, the UPDF spokesperson came out and explained the circumstances, including the 2 people who had been talked about, the general, I mean the sergeant, he's called Sergeant Mugisha something, and then another civilian, Matovu also. He mentions and brings them out and says, these people know this person, they've known her for some long time. The sergeant, he says, had been interrogating the lady after they found out that his husband, who is an ex LDU kind of, had deserted with some...
Marinos' husband.
Yes, Marinos' husband.
Yeah.
Had deserted with some military stores. So they come to check her house. Because they had divorced at that time.
Okay.
They come to check her house, and these military stores are not there. But that wasn't Marinos' first encounter or interface with the military. She had been arrested at some point, and on accusations that she was having military stores. You know what has been happening to the NUP supporters. And to Marinos' shock and revelation, it's about her playing Bobby Wine's music. Now, you know, Marinos' house is a few, maybe 2.5 kilometers from the headquarters of CMI.
Okay.
And this is from my own gathering at that time. She was a lifeist who loved to
have a good time.
A good time, really.
Play music.
Play music. She could play it loud and hard sometimes. And also she loved her bottle sometimes. So she would get into that mood of playing her music and stuff like that. So I think she had been warned quite several times. Warned, can you stop playing that music? And I don't know whether it was in sheer disregard of what they were telling her or even provoking. I don't know.
So technically, before the revelations or discovery of military stores, she had been on the radar of the security operatives on account of playing the music.
Exactly. And her revelation at that time was that it was only the music that had made her go into police custody and military custody for a number of times. But for me, again, you can stretch back because even when I was writing this story, the follow-up after her death, which appeared yesterday in the paper,
that is right.
I again called the spokesperson of UPDF, whom I spoke to 3 years ago about the same story, and she maintained he maintained his script that no, we have never had Marinos in our cells. We don't know her in our records. I don't think there's anyone who would go after her because of just music. But it was just that.
Okay.
For me, it triggers a question because quite a number of people have been arrested, and you ask the UPDF, they say we do not have him. You ask the other security agencies, they will come out and say we do not have them in our records, and yet they come out tortured, limping, and almost. There was one Mwesgwa who came out with a burnt chest.
I remember those.
You remember those graphics
pictures.
And of course the UPDF came out to say we do not know him. When he went to the NUP offices to say I need justice, they even went and reported the matter with the Human Rights Commission. Then he was called by the UPDF. The later revelation was that he showed up in the media and in public with the UPDF saying, "NUP people burnt me. They used me because they wanted to give me, promised me 50 million." So you see how the story changes. There's another case of a one Maseruka who came out with someone else, and they had been tortured, some of their nails plucked out of their legs, and they were all limping, and they had been arrested from the sides of Kasese and things like that. But the UPDF comes out and says we do not know these people, and that has been the script. So I don't actually falter the UPDF spokesperson for saying we do not know Marinos, but there is a very big likelihood that the security had been in custody of her.
I mean, it's a contradiction of sorts, and this all brings together how the security agencies work. Is it their interagency cooperation? For example, if the operatives of JAT have arrested one person, isn't it necessary for them to share information that maybe we have this person in our custody for questioning? Because questioning somebody is legal under our constitution, and these are security forces that have the mandate. Why should it be so difficult to first and foremost share information between themselves, but most importantly, follow the law?
Chris, in 2019, I mean 2020, following the protests, the sporadic protests that happened after the arrest of the NUP candidate, then Robert Chagulanyi, a number of people started being picked up from different parts of the country. That's right. I personally took on that story and started interrogating this story. When NUP released a list of 188 people, 177 people who were missing at that time, I went to all the security agencies in this country, the police, the army, CMI, ISO, and all that. And all of them said, we do not know these people. We do not have them in our custody. We have never seen them. We do not know where they are. And then one asks if you're supposed to be protecting people and their property, keeping law and order for police and stuff like that. How can't you know the disappearances? And I want to take you back to President Museveni's, one of President Museveni's speeches when he was coming into power. He said, there is no one who can be picked in this country, taken away from his family without the government knowing.
Without the government knowing.
Now here, it was in our full glare.
An improved government with the ability to basically, know everyone's whereabouts.
Yes. Now, it was happening. I kept pushing for the story. Another list of 684 came out from the NUP people and kept asking, including Internal Affairs.
That's right.
Until I wrote a story, where are the missing people? Because I had gotten a clue from my sources. This SFC had knowledge about some of the people. So I interviewed the PRO, the spokesperson of SFC, Jimmy Omar at that time. Until then, did the Minister of Internal Affairs table a list of, he first tabled a list of 240 people. 240. And surprisingly, Chris, none of the people appeared on the list of the 600. I think it was about 28 names that appeared on the two lists, because there was a list of NUP, 684, and then 240 from government. And on the 240 that government put forward, only 28 appeared on the other list.
Wow.
And we kept pushing, kept asking. I actually did an investigation into all that. Started speaking to some of the families of the missing people.
The missing persons,
we had a series of people crying out, people saying family members are missing and stuff like that. And you know what? Government thereafter released a list of 1,300 people whom they said are in their custody. Being inquired about,
finally the math was adding up.
Finally the math was adding up. But out of the 1,300, 18 of them have never surfaced up to today. And NUP claims over 200 people in that space, over 2,000 people, 2,500 people have been arrested, abducted, and dropped and disappeared and stuff like that. So, Chris, when I look at this story, it actually paints a glossy picture that probably is even coming up in the next election, because all these arrests came up in an election.
In the run-up to.
I will give you an example of a case that you want to interrogate even more. There was a guy called Sweet Peps, a small, lanky gentleman. When the Honorable Chagulanyi was beginning his consultative meetings and programs to run for the 2021 election, he was arrested around Gayaza, actually Kasangati, and we were there covering, and the security ran rampage on everyone, and everyone had to flee. But this Sweet Pepsi man, wearing and donned in Bobby Wine paraphernalia and stuff, was found a little wobbly, because maybe that day he wasn't in his state of mind.
That is right.
Maybe he had
speaking to his gods.
Yes, he was. So he couldn't run as faster as his legs could carry him. And so the security caught up with him and hit him on the head. I remember that very bleeding man, all trying to find his way into. And I think it was a year later, the man died and he was buried. And of course, some medical reports suggest that he could have sustained injuries on that day,
that very day,
that led to his death. But of course, he also had underlying issues. It brings in the Marinos story, what is being said, and word out there that she could have contracted some ailment that has led to her death, but it could have come through during the time when she was abducted. Of course, it's not easy for us to confirm.
It's not that's not easy to confirm.
And we as journalists can only do our journalism.
That is right.
But based on some of the precedents that we've seen before, it's something that is going to be believable to the public. Even us as journalists, we have to be very intentional on interrogating some of those matters.
That is
but that's what comes out of that.
Okay, very unfortunate incident there. May her soul rest in eternal peace. But as the politicians, the stakeholders, including the National Unity Platform and other parties, begin to jostle for space ahead of the 2026 general elections, we are looking at what each has to offer. And the very latest to unveil a manifesto is the Forum for Democratic Change. That was quite a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. They have always, I think FDC, apart from any other party, has always come out first with their manifesto. Even in the last election of 2021.
The reason I say it's a surprise because they are not the foremost party right now looking out to dislodge the NRM. So ideally, you would question and be like, okay, so what is in the manifesto? How big is this vision this time around?
There's a lot. I've interacted with the manifesto, of course.
No doubt.
There is a lot that is questionable. There's a lot to appreciate about the manifesto, whether it's glossy or whatever.
Let's talk about the practical aspects. What can be taken out of it? Especially for the party itself, but also for the Ugandan who will be voting.
So the party is talking about it's a very economic-based kind of manifesto, where even the slogan is putting money into the pockets of Ugandans.
That's right.
For that manifesto.
That's quite enticing.
And of course, quite enticing. And they are looking at leveraging on the oil sector of the country, leveraging on the tourism, agriculture, and creating more jobs, especially in agriculture, manufacturing, and the health sector, making sure that they say they want to put 10% of the GDP of the budget to the health sector, and then also put 10% of the budget to the agricultural sector, looking at Uganda as the backbone of Uganda being agriculture. For me, however, what I find a little bit problematic is the fact that, and these are things that we need to interrogate as journalists. In their manifesto, we do not see the place of, for instance, the security of the country. I know we've been having very many issues with ADF and stuff like that. I don't see that in their manifesto on, for instance, the welfare of our our uniformed men,
that is right.
Police and the security. It's not coming out quite clearly. But also even because when they're talking about agriculture, they are talking about irrigation. They are talking about modernized forms of agriculture and stuff like that, which for me is kind of a very tall order if you looked at our economy, but also our means of, we've remained with more than 38% of our population in subsistence farming and using rudimentary forms of agriculture. So you want a more bigger approach. To addressing some of those matters. But yes,
if we were to cut some slack for the Forum for Democratic Change, particularly now that they seem to have transcended the, tugs of war between potential candidates, and now that they've agreed on a flag bearer, who is Nathan Nandala Mafabi. His own history and experience as an economist perhaps informs much of what the manifesto is, and he's often talked about his abilities and his time at the World Bank, and when we've had him debate on the floor of Parliament, his ability to articulate these matters is quite enviable, and I think it offers some sort of leverage for the party to say we have the person who best understands economic policy, and maybe if that opportunity comes through, then we can begin to work systematically towards the kind of socio-economic transformation Uganda wants. Would you really cut some slack for them on account of that?
Absolutely. I think the person of Nandala Nathan Mafabi is one astute economist that you do not count maybe 10 economists in this country and miss out his name. And he has demonstrated that over time, the way he has rigorously run the FDC for all these years as Secretary General. And other capacities as leader of opposition in all those times. And even when you asked him out for a close combatant debate with him on economic policy of the country, but also even the regional economics, you will certainly not go away with you will not fail to go away with a bruised nose, because he's always very
very combative, very apt, and grounded
in those matters. But for me, what is coming out is a little bit of something that surprises me. I mean, they are right now in a fight with Joseph Kabuleta, if you've seen in the news, because of the slogan, putting money in the pockets of Ugandans. The moment I saw that slogan as being their manifesto slogan,
you knew they had set themselves up for a fight.
It struck me that this is the slogan that Joseph Kabuleta used in the last election. And little wonder, they are in a battle. Who uses it, and Joseph Kabuleta's need for him, it's also, as a party, the party in itself is embedded in economics, and it only espouses the economic question of
as the precursor for the rest. So let's work on that. So we can always find time.
Yes, we can always find time to solve the other matters.
That
so
right.
Nandala Mafabi should have thought a little bit deeper into coming up with a slogan. I mean, there's an avalanche of them out there that you can go pecking on any day. But well, again, that's what's happening.
That's a fundamental lapse, maybe, choosing to go around throwing stones at every dog that barks. Nandala Mafabi should avoid distractions if he's to make it as a formidable candidate. All right, as we enter the final bend of the discussion, the NRM vetted its various candidates for the Central Executive Committee as well as the National Executive Committee. This is also another battle of sorts that is going on there. But do you think in 9 days' time, when these elections by the delegates finally takes place, are you expecting a smooth ride, a public relations positive for the national resistance movement, or we are going to see another ugly head of intrigue and ugly politics at play?
Maybe you would have just said a little bit of more of it. Because when has it ever been peaceful?
Of course, I don't expect the violence and the pushing and shoving.
You don't?
But intrigue, machinations.
No, expect everything.
Expect everything.
Everything. That's NRM for you. You will just look at the sake and neck, but also the primaries that happened in the last election now. This election, the most heated election right now and the most heated race that's happening right now is the national vice chairman. Vice chairperson of the female, of the women.
That is Anita Among
versus Rebecca Kadaga. Rebecca Kadaga has always been out there. She was in a fight with Pastor Namuganza, and anyone who gets there will always be will always engage her, and she will always be ready to fight back. For me, I feel it's going to be a little bit more of what we've seen before. The violence, the fighting. I hope we have enough security in Namboole in 9 days, because we don't know what's going to happen there.
Interesting there. A little bit of deja vu. Derek Wandera, many thanks. Of course, talking of these matters, that is some deep and experienced perspective. It is something that we cannot discount. But it is upon the delegates of the National Resistance Movement, and indeed all the honchos, including the party president and party chairman rather, and president, whose two positions are ring-fenced, to ensure that the men who will be voting, we believe they are more decent than the average villager or Chris Higenyi. So if we see the kind of violence, the kind of drama, but also the mismatch in votes that happened in the primaries on the 17th of July, it will be a huge disappointment. So it is upon the governing party to finally indicate that maybe things are changing for the better. Many thanks for being with us this morning throughout the 2.5 hours. It's been a pleasure having your company. And of course, for those behind the scenes, ensuring that it's exhaustive and entertaining as it has been, many thanks for a job well done. For you